Hey guys, this is Miss Easy E back at you again with another article from the New York Times. This article, Virginia's First Lady apologizes for handing cotton to Black students on tour. Let's get into it. The conversation table is now open. Now, a little history on Virginia. Virginia, about six, don't quote it's in the 1600s. I think it was 1614. The state of Virginia actually received the very first shipment of slaves when the Atlantic trade was going on. The Atlantic slave the transatlantic slave trade, they received the first shipment of slaves in 1614. So Virginia is is that state where a lot has happened. They have a lot of history. Even all states have a lot of history, but Virginia, still to this day, I have friends in Virginia. I have professors that teach in Virginia. They still say there's still a certain part of Virginia that is over here and this other side is upscale, and it doesn't feel like much has changed. There's so much segregation still. So let's just get into this article. A little background on Governor Ralph Northam. Governor Ralph, who is a medical doctor, is being there's a scandal going on right now, a race scandal where the African Americans, he really doesn't have their trust right now, because some pictures have came up of him putting, while he was in med school and trying to do this break dance type of event, he put black shoe polish on his face to make himself black. And, you know, the pictures brought just a lot of controversy, and a lot of people felt different ways on it. Some people were like, you know, I understand there was a mistake, you know, it wasn't going, should not have been taken as far as it did, because they really wanted him to step down. Some people were saying it happened in medical school, so maybe he was being funny, or maybe, you know, it just wasn't meant to be brought out like this. Some other people are saying, oh, well, if you're in medical school, then you're well into almost your early 30s, late 20s. You should have known. Why didn't you think about, you're a mature person, why didn't you think about how this can be, how it can look like a sign, you know, being racist? Why didn't you think of that? You're a mature student, you're in med school. Some other people say that the governor has done a lot of things to push for equality. So this, you know, having him step down will put the African Americans 10 steps back. So anyway, that's the background on it. This article is about First Lady. First Lady she did apologize for handing the cotton, but this is how it happened. First Lady always hosts, there's a tour guide that she always gives a tour of students, or she gives students a tour of the government's mansion, and she, you know, goes around the kitchen. You know, it's a historic, this was a slave owner's house, so this is, you know, very historic. So she's been doing this for a lot of years, but now There were 3 African American students. 2 of the ages were 13 and 14. And this is what the First Lady said when she came to the kitchen. First Lady Northam handed the cotton to the black students. Others are saying that she handed the cotton to the nearest students to her. And this is what was said. Here, pass the cotton around, pass it around so that everyone can feel the sharpness of the stems and leaves, and try to imagine handling the rough materials all day, every day, all day, every day. The mother of one of the children there just gasped and was like, what are you saying? How could you be so insensitive? And she apologized. She didn't want to, the First Lady didn't want to offend anybody, but the mother was very offended. There were only, you know, a little bit of African American students there. So now there's this big thing on the mom that was with the 14-year-old daughter. Miss Walker is the director of equity and engagement at the state education department. And she was like, along with her daughter, there are only 2 other black students there, but she cannot understand from the life of her, why would the First Lady make a comment like that? Her daughter also wrote to First Lady saying that when you told her friends to pass around the cotton, it just made her feel very uncomfortable. And her daughter also wrote, First Lady, can you imagine being an enslaved person and having to pick this all day? Miss Northam says that she was only trying to tell the story of the slaves who worked at the governor's mansion. She did not mean to offend anyone. So the conversation table is now open. How do you guys feel about this? Do you feel that, I mean, this First Lady has been doing this tour for some years. So how do you think that she should have used another saying, or do you think that do you think, you know, she's not a racist person? It was just, you know, it didn't quite go right. It was going north and it would just completely went south, and that's not how she meant to, you know, she didn't mean it that way. Like what are you feeling about this? I want you to comment below. I want you to share it to your friends. See, you know, I would like a lot of output on whether, because a part of how I read the article is that it's sounding intentional. It's sounding intentional. So another part is like, you know, it wasn't intentional. How can you say pass around the cotton? Imagine, you know, having to pick this all day and being this. How if you had to reword that, how would you reword it? Also, me as an African American, if I were the tour guide and if I said it, do you think there would be backlash to it? I can't wait to hear your thoughts.